Welcome to the Vulture channel. You might be listening on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your audio.
That's right. And today, we're doing a deep dive into a really popular one, Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Yeah, it's everywhere. And our goal today isn't just, a book report.
No, definitely not. We want to pull out the core ideas, the really practical steps you can use, especially thinking about technology, innovation, trends, the stuff we usually talk about here.
Exactly. Because Clear's big idea is that huge results come from tiny changes, these atomic habits.
He really lives it, too. He shares that incredible story about his baseball injury, right? Ended up in a coma.
Yeah, and his recovery wasn't one big fix. It was all these small, consistent things he did. That's how he eventually became an academic All-American. It's powerful stuff.
It really is. And there's that other great example of the British cycling team.
Oh, yeah, the aggregation of marginal gains.
Exactly. Dave Brailsford's whole philosophy. Just find 1% improvements everywhere. In bike seats, tire weight, even massage gels,
And the results were just unprecedented. They dominated.
Which just shows how focusing on those tiny details, things that seem insignificant, can lead to massive breakthroughs. Super relevant for anyone in tech or trying to innovate, I think.
Okay, so let's unpack Clear's actual framework. He boils it down to 4 laws of behavior change.
Right. Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying.
So 4 pillars, and for each one, we want to look at the strategies he suggests, things you can actually do.
Yeah, like how could you use this if you're trying to learn, say, a new coding language? Or just stay on top of AI news?
Or even get your team to adopt a new, maybe innovative practice at work.
And a really key shift he talks about is focusing on identity-based habits.
Right. So instead of, I want to lose weight, it's more like, I want to become a healthy person.
Precisely. He tells that story about his friend who lost, over 50 pounds.
Yeah, just by asking himself, what would a healthy person do in different situations?
It reframes everything. Your actions start confirming the type of person you want to be. It's quite profound, actually.
And this ties into the habit loop, doesn't it? The whole cue, craving, response, reward cycle.
Absolutely. Understanding that loop is key to designing better habits. It goes way back, Thorndike's research with cats,
So the cue is the trigger.
Mm-hmm. The craving is the motivation, the desire.
The response is the actual habit.
And the reward. Well, that's what tells your brain, hey, do that again. It closes the loop.
So how do we actually use that understanding? Clear gives some concrete tools.
Yeah, like implementation intentions, which sounds fancy, but it's really just making a specific plan.
I will do behavior at time and location.
Yeah.
Super simple, but effective.
It really is. It removes the ambiguity. And then there's habit stacking.
Ah, yes. Piggybacking a new habit onto one you already do.
Right. After I current habit, I will new habit.
So like after my morning coffee, I'll spend 5 minutes reading a tech news summary.
Exactly. It leverages existing routines, makes the cue for the new habit really obvious.
Okay, this next part I found really fascinating, environment design.
Oh, yeah. Shaping your space to shape your habits. It's huge.
Making the good habits easy, even unavoidable, and the bad habits harder. Or invisible.
He uses that hospital cafeteria example, right? They rearranged the drinks, put water everywhere.
And soda sales dropped, water sales went up without any big announcement. Just changing the environment.
It subtly nudges behavior.
Yeah.
That Vietnam War study he mentions.
Wow, about heroin addiction.
Yeah.
Yeah, so many soldiers were addicted over there.
But when they came home, back to a completely different environment,
Right.
a huge percentage just quit. Without standard rehab even.
It really underscores how much our surroundings influence our habits, for better or worse.
Definitely. Which leads nicely into making habits easy, overcoming that initial hurdle.
The 2-minute rule. This one's great for procrastination.
It is. The idea is just shrink the habit down so it takes less than 2 minutes to start.
Want to read more? Just read 1 page.
Want to exercise? Just put on your running shoes.
Want to learn that new software? Just open the program.
Exactly. It's about making the start of the habit incredibly easy. You can build up later, but getting started is often the hardest part.
Makes total sense. Lowers that activation energy,
Right. And the last law, make it satisfying.
Yeah.
We need some kind of payoff.
Yeah, because good habits often have delayed rewards, right? Eating healthy, saving money. The big benefits are down the road.
While bad habits often give immediate pleasure. So we need to find ways to make the good habits immediately satisfying too.
He talks about tracking, like using a habit tracker. Seeing that streak can be motivating in itself.
It can. Though he also warns about focusing only on the metric and maybe missing the point.
True. But finding ways to give yourself immediate reinforcement, maybe a small, healthy reward, or just acknowledging the win that helps solidify the habit.
Yeah, bridging that gap between the action and the eventual reward is key for making it stick.
Okay, so we've got the 4 laws, but it doesn't stop there, does it? There's this idea of continuous improvement.
Right, and adapting. He talks about the Goldilocks rule.
Finding that sweet spot of difficulty.
Exactly. Habits need to stay challenging enough to be interesting, but not so hard that you get discouraged and quit. Peak motivation happens when tasks are right on the edge of your current abilities.
Makes sense. Keeps you engaged.
And he also brings up playing a game where the odds are in your favor. Basically, aligning your habits with your natural strengths and inclinations.
Don't try to force yourself into habits that fundamentally clash with who you are. Find ones that fit.
Yeah, lean into your talents. And finally, dealing with the boredom that inevitably comes once a habit becomes routine.
Yeah. Mastery can sometimes feel, well, boring.
It can. And the key there is falling in love with the process, with the system, not just the initial excitement or the end goal. Professionals stick to the schedule. Amateurs let life get in the way.
It's about showing up consistently, even when you don't feel like it.
That's the core of it. Consistency trumps intensity over the long haul.
So, bringing this all together, what's the main takeaway for listeners, especially those navigating, tech and innovation?
I think it's realizing that building skills, staying updated, implementing new things, it doesn't require heroic effort. It requires small, smart habits consistently applied.
Start incredibly small using that 2-minute rule.
Focus on becoming the type of person who does those things. The lifelong learner, the innovator. Let identity drive it.
Design your environment. Make learning resources obvious. Block distractions.
Make it easy to start. And find ways to make the process satisfying. Track your progress, maybe.
Yeah, it's a powerful framework. So we really hope this deep dive into atomic habits gave you some valuable ideas and practical things you can try out.
Remember, the key really is starting small. Don't try to overhaul everything at once. Pick one small thing.
And build that identity, set up your environment, make it feel good to do.
Exactly.
And look, if you found this breakdown useful and you want more analyses like this, looking at influential books, talking tech, innovation, trends,
then definitely subscribe to the channel. Give this deep dive a like. It really helps us out.
Yeah, and check out our other book analyses too. We've covered some interesting ground.
We have. So thanks for joining us for this deep dive today.
We'll be back soon exploring more fascinating topics. Definitely subscribe and stay tuned.